All right, so we give all the glory and the praise to the Most High, Ahaya Shai, Ahaya. We want to thank Yeshaya and Rawak, the Holy Spirit. All right, I want to say peace to the 12 tribes that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And I want to say shalom to those who are not of the blood lineage, still carry the surname of Israel because they follow the law, statutes, and commandments. They know who the real Israelites are, and they want to be a part of the New Jerusalem. Tonight, we're going to have a very detailed lesson on December 25th. Every time that the world decides that they want to have a holiday, we advise on how wrong that holiday is. And December 25th is no exception. So we're going to get into some scriptures, we're going to get into some history. Feel free to place your questions on the chat. Also, what was he supposed to say? He was supposed to announce something with YouTube.
Was it the writing down in the notes?
The caption, cover the caption, right. Okay, so if you are putting your devices on silent and you're using the closed caption, understand that the closed caption is not putting what we're saying correctly. It'll say, if we say Ahaya, it'll say Allah. So understand that the closed caption does not work on YouTube, that it's kind of messed up. So if you can, put your phone, if you put your device, if you turn up the volume on your device, we would recommend closed caption. If you want to put it on closed caption, by all means. But understand that what we're saying probably isn't being translated correctly. Okay? So chance it's not being translated correctly. If you have questions and the questions are not pertaining to the actual lesson, write those questions down. We will address them at the end because apparently when you put them on there, they're disappearing. If you have questions during the teaching about the teaching, then we will pause and we will answer the questions. We want to make it as interactive as possible. Okay? So we're going to get into December 25th. Is it a pagan holiday or not? All right, so a couple of announcements that we have coming up as far as the holy days. First announcement that we have coming up is what is the Shabbat in January? You just said it like 2 minutes ago.
For 5th? 5th.
January 5th. All right, so January 5th, we're going to have an ordination, ordination. We're going to ordain Brother Lenoch as deacon. Okay, you've been following this ministry. We've been around for 10 years. We've tried numerous times. We're going to try it once again. So January 5th, that will be part of the lesson. We're going to live stream the ordination. Ordination. All right. Purim, February 20th and the 21st. Both nights we have a holy convocation. The Passover, March 10th. We'll have our holy convocation and our teaching. Immediately following the Passover is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. That is March 11th through the 17th. Okay? So, let me say that we are all in need of the precious blood of Yeshua. So we don't claim to be any holier than anybody else. We don't claim to do that. We don't set out to be mean, but we are going to expose December 25th. Proverbs 21 and 27.
Before we get started, someone has a question.
Sure.
They say, what's a deacon? What do they do? Maybe that day,
That day we'll have a brief lesson on what a deacon is
what?
and what they are expected to do. Okay.
First Timothy.
Right, you can go to First Timothy, qualifications are there, and I believe it's also in, Titus. Okay? Alright? So, we'll have, more information on, we'll do a mini teaching, because we still are teaching on, Hebrew Israelite awakenings at that point. So we'll have a little teaching on deacons. All right, Proverbs 21 and 27.
Proverbs chapter 21, verse 27. The sacrifice of the wicked is abomination. How much more when he bringeth it with a wicked mind?
All right, the sacrifice of the wicked is abomination. All holidays are evil. Every single one of them. Your birthday celebration is evil. The Most High does not recognize pagan holidays. Many people travel the world to celebrate evil holidays. Christians and even other religions, Islam, Catholics, Buddhists, all of them. Now you wonder, how can all these religions celebrate what they call is the birth of Christ? How can all these religions celebrate that when Judaism don't even believe in that? It's because they know that they're celebrating something else. Okay? Let's go to 1 Timothy 1. And we're going to read verses 4 through 6. And you see it. I mean, you see it all over the place. You can't go into a store without hearing that abomination music. You can't, if you work, guaranteed you that 3 or 4 people are going to have those God ugly sweaters. There's a scripture in the Bible about wearing holiday attire. And I believe we'll get that in Zephaniah. But people are, and then there's a mindset. You can hate someone all year long. But then when it comes close to December 25th, they're your best friend. It's a spirit. It's a false sense. It's a false spirit. 1 Timothy 1, 4 through 6.
1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 4. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies.
Neither give heed to fables. December 25th is a fable. Go ahead.
Which minister questions.
It ministers questions. Right? The December 25th holiday, there's a lot of questions. Go ahead.
Rather than godly edifying which is in faith, so do. Now the end of the commandment is charity out of a pure heart, and of a good conscience, and of faith unfeigned. Verse 6, from which some having swerved have turned aside unto vain jangling.
Vain jangling, that's what Christmas is. That's what December 25th is. They have turned away from the truth. And they turned it into vain jangling. The Most High doesn't care about these holidays. He doesn't even bless them. So why do we? In truth, the Most High curses them rather than honor them. Did you know where the word holiday comes from? It comes from the word holy and day with an I in the middle of it. Okay? There's nothing holy about these holidays. And we should not celebrate these evil holidays. The true holy days are in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And Christ Mass, we're going to break that word down also. so-called celebration of the Messiah being born. In Romans, it was a celebration of his death, not his birth. In the book of Romans. In fact, the Bible doesn't even tell us he was born in the winter. Using your common sense, you know that Israel, Palestine, in the wintertime was deadly cold, especially at night. And the people, the herdsmen, were never out at nighttime. But guess who you are celebrating on December 25th? The December 25th ties to the winter solstice. December 25th is pagan. Nimrod, the Babylonian ruler, and his so-called son Tammuz is worshipped on that day as a sun god. The Christmas tree, another pagan ritual, which we're going to get into. Nimrod was the god of the Babylonians and the Assyrians, and his son Tammuz were symbolized in the form of palm trees after their death. Now, the Bible has a very interesting scripture in Deuteronomy about the evergreen tree. Right? We're going to get to that in a minute. So, Christmas tree was set up to hide the pagan satanic holiday. This is no more than idol worship. And this idol worship in Jeremiah 10 and Deuteronomy the 7th chapter. No more than idol worship. Nimrod, Baal, sun worship. December 25th, truth. Nimrod, the Lord of Christmas, or Satan, or if you take Santa and just move the T to where the N is and move the A to where the T is, you got Satan. But we're going to talk about some things, and we're going to get some understanding. Let's start with the Christmas tree. What does the Christmas tree mock? We're going to go to Genesis 2 and 9. What does the Christmas tree mock? Genesis 2 and 9, and then skip down to verse 15. Now, before we get that, Christmas breaks the first commandment by having other gods. The sun god Mithra. Christmas breaks the second commandment by having images. The Christmas tree, the Christmas wreath, holly. Right? It breaks the third commandment by taking the Lord's name in vain. Every time, and we're only saying this for this teaching, but every time that you say Christmas, you're breaking the third commandment, believe it or not, because you're taking his name in vain. That's why we always say December 25th. And for the objective of this teaching, we have to say Christmas sometimes. But that is a breaking of the commandment. It breaks the fifth commandment by promoting children's greed over parents. And then it breaks the 10th commandment by promoting covetousness. So let me go over that again. December 25th breaks the first commandment because you're serving and you're worshiping other gods. It breaks the second commandment because it says that you shall not have any graven images. The tree is a graven image. The wreath is a graven image. The holly is a graven image. Then it breaks the third commandment by taking his name in vain. And it breaks the fifth commandment by promoting greed. And then it breaks the 10th commandment by promoting covetousness. Now, a holiday that breaks 5 of the 10. Who would want to celebrate that? But you'll have some Christians that say, you know what, we just do it for the kids. We don't really celebrate it. We just do it for the kids. Kids are going to hell. Genesis 2:9, then we're going to skip down to Genesis 15 through 17. Let's read that. This is what the Christmas tree mocks. Read Genesis 2:9.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 9. And out of the ground made the Lord power to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life.
That's what it mocks. The tree of life. Go ahead.
Also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Okay, it mocks the tree of life. Skip down to verse 15, please.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. And the Lord power took the man and put him into the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And the Lord power commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die.
Thou shalt surely die. So they call December 25th a number of things. The Winter Festival, Saturnalia, Mithra, Nimrod, Tammuz, they're all connected with December 25th. So let's get the scripture that all Israelites should know, Jeremiah 10, verses 1 through 5. The information that we're bringing forth, you take this information and you go to, you present this information to Christians. Now, of course, when you start speaking the Bible, they're going to denounce you and rebuke you right then and there. But at least you'll have the weaponry to denounce everything about this satanic holiday. We gave you the 5 commandments in which this holiday breaks. Now we're going to give you the scriptures that you can use because the December 25th tree is in the Bible. Let's read Jeremiah 10.
Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel.
See, not man speaketh, but the Lord speaketh. Come on.
Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven.
The signs of heaven are everything that goes on this earth. All the lights, all the pageantry, the parades. Those are the signs of heaven. Go ahead.
For the heathen are dismayed at them.
The heathen, they're dismayed at them. They walk around. Let's take little Bobby and let's drive around the neighborhood and let's look at the lights on people's houses.
We did that.
Yeah, we did.
And when we lived in Illinois, we used to go down to Marshall Fields, remember? And in their windows, they used to have a whole light show and the reindeers, the Santa. You could even go in and sit on Santa's lap and tell him what you wanted. But I fixed that Santa one time because I was a little girl. And my auntie took me to see Santa and I was scared. And when I was sitting on his lap, I peed. I fixed him. No, I'm just kidding. But that was a true story though, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, I guess we'll never be the same again. Verse 3.
For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth the tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe.
Now, Christians, what do you think that is? Cut a tree out of the forest. Read verse 4.
They decked it with silver and with gold.
What tree do you decorate with silver and gold? Go ahead.
They fastened it with nails and with hammers, that it moved not.
That it move not. What tree do you do that to? There's only one tree. People try to justify, well, this was some celebration that they did back in pagan and Babylonian times. Yes, They did back in Babylonian times. That's how old this holiday is. It goes all the way back to Nimrod. To the death of Nimrod, I should say. Verse 5.
They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good.
It's not in them to do good. We're going to go to Leviticus, the 20th chapter. Vain. What does vain mean? Vain means without real significance, without value, without importance, worthless.
Before we do that, can he read Jeremiah 10, chapter 10, verse 10?
Sure.
Because this goes outside of what you just said in Genesis.
Okay.
Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 10. But the Lord is the true power. He is the living power, and an everlasting king. At his wrath the earth shall tremble, and the nation shall not be able to abide his indignation.
Right. They're not going to be able to understand it. They're not going to be able to understand why is he so angry? Because they're celebrating December 25th.
And this is for the smart people out there. Yes, we know the evergreen tree is green, but let's see, because some people in my family, they had a white tree.
Right.
They had a silver tree, a gold tree, it doesn't matter.
It's still what the tree represents.
And this is what Mother showed me as well. Because in my car, I used to get the air fresheners. The evergreen air fresheners, they come in different scents, black suede, all that. What does that still represent? It's still the shape of the evergreen. You're still hanging that tree up in front of your car, what is that in the mirror? Yeah? So even that as well. So even it just come across as an air freshener. But when you really look at it, anything you worship, you bow down to it, or you look up to it. So that thing is hanging up above you.
Right. Make good thing.
Just be mindful.
Leviticus 20, 22, and 23. All right, let's read.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 22. Ye shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments, and do them, that the land whither I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out.
All right, you're supposed to do all my statutes, all my commandments according to the Lord. 23.
And ye shall not walk in the manners of the nation.
Read that again.
And ye shall not walk in the manners of the
You
nation.
shall not walk in the manners of the nations. You shall not do what they're doing. Come on.
Which I cast out before you.
Mm-hmm.
For they committed all these things,
Right.
and therefore I abhorred them.
I abhorred them.
You know what that means? Abortion.
Hate. Right? For they committed these things. It's okay for them to do this. Totally fine. The other nations. It's totally fine. Once a person who is a Gentile decides that, you know what, I'm following the law, statutes, and commandments, and I'm not going to do this no more, they are no longer abhorred. They are loved. But those who do these things, they're hated. Now look at the world and see how many people are hated. And they're hated by the Most High. Let's get Psalms 115.
Yeah, we was in a store the other day, and there was 3 school teachers, and they were saying how they had put up a thing where if people donate toys, they can put their name in a raffle to win $100 gift cards. And one of the teachers said it was only a couple of gifts in there. She had put 2 of them in there herself. So they were at the store, and I think they had like 4 carts of all kinds of toys and maybe 5 parts of everything. And she had, I'm telling you, this woman had at least a couple of $1,000 in her hand. And they was buying the toys for the kids. And I was standing there and I'm thinking, okay, if I say something, I know that, because it's a emotional satanic attachment to this holiday. So she probably, started beating me up. And everybody know Walmart is known for fighting. People fight me in Walmart.
Right.
So I just said, Lord, I just pray that some kind of way she comes to the truth. Because everybody, all them kids, she gives a gift. They're coming to agreement with the satanic holiday.
Right.
And they're taking that stuff home, passing through the fire. So not only parents cannot, they can pass their children through the fire, but other people can pass other people's children through the fire as well.
Correct. It's true.
So you gotta be
Psalms
mindful.
115, we're going to read verses 4 through 7. Listen to this from Psalms. Let's read that.
Psalm 115, verse 4. Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands.
See that? Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. Come on.
They have mouths, but they speak not.
Mm-hmm.
Eyes have they, but they see not.
Mm-hmm.
They have ears, but they hear not. Noses have they, but they smell not.
Verse 7.
They have hands, but they handle not. Feet have they, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their throat.
See? Same thing we read in Jeremiah. These people are blind.
So what
They're
are you
blind.
talking about?
These people are
Our
blind.
idols.
Right? They're blind.
Okay.
They
So
can't see. They can't hear. They can't disdain. All they know is that this is December 25th, and this is a time of celebration, time of gluttony, time of covetousness. Bible says they have mouths, but they speak not. Oh, look at the thousands of people who you probably saw today getting ready for December 25th. Did they all not have mouths? Did they all not have eyes? Did they all not have ears and noses? The Bible is saying that these people are going to continue to celebrate this wicked holiday, but they're not going to see the truth in it. Habakkuk 2. Habakkuk 2, and we're going to read verses 18 and 19. These are just precepts to Jeremiah 10, 1 through 5, and verse 10. Habakkuk 2, 18 and 19. Now, listen to this one. What?
Oh. I thought he said
Oh.
Nathan. I said, yeah, Nathan. He had a book Nathan.
Right, let's read it.
Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
What profiteth the graven image, that the maker thereof hath graven it?
Uh-huh.
The molten image, and the teacher of lies, that the maker of his work trusted therein to make dumb idols.
See that? What profited the graven image? That the maker hath graven it. And the maker is a teacher of lies. To make these dumb idols. The tree, a dumb idol. Wreath, a dumb idol. Holly, a dumb idol. The Yule log, a dumb idol. All of it. Verse 19.
Woe unto him that saith to the wood, Awake,
Mm-hmm.
to the dumb stone, Arise, it shall teach.
Awake, ye shall teach. This wood, that the December 25th tree. Well, you can get more from a tree than certain pastors. Keep going.
It is laid over with gold and silver.
It's laid over with gold and silver. Come on.
And there is no breath at all in the midst of it.
They keep on talking about the gold and the silver. You decorate your tree, gold, silver, tinsels, all that stuff. Verse 3 in Jeremiah 10:3, for the customs of the people are vain, remember? So what this is saying is that the people are doing, what the people are doing, it has no real significance. It's pointless. Everything that they're doing is pointless. Verse 5 says they must needs be born. This is clearly referring to the tree standing. Right? Thy must needs be born. Let's go Deuteronomy 7. See, what we do is we don't just say, oh, December 25th is wild and it's pagan, you shouldn't celebrate. We're going to give you the scriptural evidence that December 25th is evil, that December 25th is wicked. And you can take this scriptural evidence and you can take it to your Christian church, you can take it to your pastors, you can take it to anybody in Christianity. And let them know what you're doing is going to get you sent to hell. Deuteronomy 7, 25 and 26. Come on.
Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 25.
Mm-hmm.
The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire.
Burn with fire. All of them. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them,
Mm-hmm.
nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein. For it is an abomination to the Lord thy power.
It's an abomination. Once again, he says it's an abomination. Keep going.
Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house,
You are not supposed to even bring that mess in your house. Go ahead.
lest thou be a cursed thing like it.
Or else you're going to be cursed, just like they're cursed. Go ahead.
But thou shalt utterly detest it.
Read it again.
But thou shalt utterly detest it.
Read that again.
But thou shalt utterly detest it.
You shall detest it. Go ahead.
And thou shalt utterly abhor it.
You shall abhor it. Right? The Bible is telling you, you have permission to detest this thing. You have permission to abhor this thing. Go ahead.
For it is a cursed
It
thing.
is a cursed thing. The Bible is giving you permission to say how nasty, how wicked, how evil it is.
I have something I would like to say, because I've been hearing this ever since we've been in the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I've been hearing other ministries, camps tell this to people.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, okay, so you have two people, they're married, right?
Mm-hmm.
One is in the truth and the other one is not.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one wants to celebrate December 25th.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell you, okay, well, you just have to be patient until that person come around. And, okay, so it was a man, he's in the truth, but his wife was not. And the advice that the elder of the ministry gave him is that, you know, until she come around, she want to do December 25th, just allow her to do it and just pray that eventually she'll come around. Now, I don't agree with that because of this scripture right here. And if he's the husband and he's the head of his home,
Mm-hmm.
and if his wife's supposed to be submissive to him, how is it, I mean, who is he choosing? Is he choosing the Most High, or is he choosing his wife?
Right.
Because if you know that this thing is it's a cursed thing, You're not supposed to have it. The Most High saying is abomination.
Mm-hmm.
So why would he still allow his wife to bring a tree in and she's bowing down to it and causing the kids to sin as well?
But the Bible clearly states that it's an accursed thing to
Right.
have in the house.
Exactly. But you actually have Israelite ministries are telling people to do this. And I'm like, where is that in scripture?
Right. Mm-hmm. Verse 25 says that, for it is an abomination to the Lord thy power. The verse is letting you know how much he hates it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Verse 26, neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thy house. It makes it pretty clear that simply don't bring it in, or else you'll be cursed like that. Very clear. The Yule log, the morning after the Yule log was burned, pagans would erect a tree and decorate it and surround it with presents. This represented a new life to their child king. A couple of days later, after the holy king death, he came again as an oak king. This practice dates back to Babylon, and that's what they were doing in ancient Babylon when Jeremiah was speaking on Jeremiah 10. That's how it all started, from Babylon.
Wow.
Customs of the people are vain. One custom tree from the forest, working with the hammer and the axe. In North America, the shortest day and the longest night is between December 21st and December 22nd, called the winter solstice. And ancient people believed that at that time frame, the sun god would be losing his strength and become weak because the year was long. So what they did is they sacrificed children, virgins, whomever they wanted, had orgies, did all that so that the sun god can bring and get his strength. They celebrate the solstice because it also meant that the sun god would start to get well. And the evergreen tree reminded them of the green plant, and that green would grow again so that the sun god becomes stronger and the summer will return faster.
That was so much affiliation.
The Egyptians worshipped a god named Ra, who had a head of a hawk. And if you've seen hieroglyphics, you've seen this god. He has a head of a hawk, and he has a blazing sun as his crown. What the Egyptians believed is that Ra would begin to, after all these sacrifices and the green palm trees in the houses, that he would start to strengthen from that power from the green palms. And those green palms would signalize life over death. Right? The Vikings, they would bring the evergreens into their house to worship their god, Baal. Right? So the origin of the Christmas tree did not start in America. And in fact, December 25th was outlawed in America.
It was.
But December 25th has been around since pagan times. How did Yeshaya feel about this? Why don't we go to Ezekiel 8 and find out? Let's go to Ezekiel 8, and we're going to read verses 15 to 18. Ezekiel 8, let's read 15 to 18. All right, let's read that.
Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
Then said he unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abomination than these.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east, and they worshiped the sun toward the east.
What do you think they were worshiping? Tammuz and Nimrod. Keep going.
Then he said unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Is it a like thing to the house of Judah, that they commit the abominations which they commit here? For they have filled the land with violence, and have returned to provoke me to anger. And lo, they put the branch to their nose.
Verse 18.
Therefore will I also deal in fury. Mine eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity. And though they cry in mine ears with a loud voice, yet will I not hear them.
Or yet will I not hear them. Let's stay in Ezekiel and go to chapter 6. So, if we are truly concerned about pleasing the Shire, we would want to be associated with would we want to be associated with customs that will bring dishonor and wrath to him? Think about it for a second. Ezekiel 6, and we're going to read 13 and 14.
Ezekiel chapter 6, verse 13. Then shall ye know that I am the Lord, when their slain men shall be among their idols, round about their altars, upon every high hill, in all the tops of the mountains, and under every green tree, and under every thick oak, the place where they did offer sweet savor to all their idols.
Now remember, in Babylon, it all started with the oak, with the green trees. Having to have the trees and everything in your house so that Nimrod would start to gain strength after the winter solstice. See that? Verse 14.
So will I stretch out my hand upon them, and make the land desolate, yea, more desolate than the wilderness toward Diblah, in all their habitations. They shall know that I am the Lord.
It's not going to be good for a lot of people. December 25th was the birth of Tammuz. It was from this myth that created by a living woman who had an ancestral relationship. We all know the story of Semiramis, who was Nimrod's mother. And they had sex, but Tammuz wasn't Nimrod's real son. Nimrod was killed. She conceived and she got pregnant after Nimrod. So she was having a little affair going on. I mean, even though technically it wouldn't have been fornication, it wouldn't have been adultery because Nimrod was dead, right? But she was committing fornication. And when Nimrod died, she needed to keep the throne. How better way to say that Nimrod was killed and came in the ray of the sun and got her pregnant, and thus Tammuz.
What was the mindset of those people to even believe that?
The mindset, we're going to go to the book of Joshua, we're going to go to chapter 7, right? So Nimrod built the Tower of Babel, he built Nineveh, he built other cities. He organized the first kingdom. Nimrod in Hebrew means he rebelled. Right? Nimrod was so evil that he married his own mother, whose name was Semiramis, after Nimrod's untimely death. And we know how Nimrod died, and we're going to go into that a little tomorrow. Under his untimely death, his mama wife, imagine that one, his mama wife, propagated an evil doctrine so that Nimrod can stay a spirit being. Let's read Joshua 7, 23 through 33.
Joshua chapter 7, verse 23. And Cush, the son of Ham, the son of Noah, took a wife in those days in his old age, and she bare a son, and they called his name Nimrod, saying, At that time the sons of men again began to rebel and transgress against the Most High. And the child grew up, and his father loved him exceedingly, for he was the son of his old age. And the garments of skin which the Most High made for Adam and his wife, when they went out of the garden, were given to Cush. For after the death of Adam and his wife, the garments were given to Enoch, the son of Jared. And when Enoch was taken up to the Most High, he gave them to Methuselah his son. And at the death of Methuselah, Noah took them and brought them to the ark, and they were with him until he went out of the ark. And in their going out, Ham stole those garments from Noah his father, and he took them and hid them from his brothers. And when Ham begat his firstborn Cush, he gave him the garments in secret, and they were with Cush many days. And Cush also concealed them from his sons and brothers. And when Cush had begotten Nimrod, he gave him those garments through his love for him. And Nimrod grew up, and when he was 20 years old, he put on those garments. Verse 30. And Nimrod became strong when he put on those garments. And the Most High gave him might and strength.
Now, we have to understand and know that Nimrod did not start off evil.
But my question is, those garments was for Adam and Eve.
Right.
How do you put on Eve garments?
I don't know, cross-dressing. Right? So, Nimrod did not start off bad. He started off doing things right, but quickly changed. Go ahead.
And he was a mighty hunter in the earth. Yea, he was a mighty hunter in the field. And he hunted the animals, and he built altars. And he offered upon them the animals before the Lord. And Nimrod strengthened himself. And he rose up from amongst his brethren, and he fought the battles of his brethren against all their enemies round about.
So Nimrod had the strength and everything. He was with the Most High, and he turned. Same thing with Solomon. Solomon had the mindset, the IQ, everything. Turned on the Most High.
I think Solomon was curious, though.
You know, with that curiosity, you got the best of him. Keep going.
Verse 32. And the Lord delivered all the enemies of his brethren in his hand. And the Most High prospered him from time to time in his battles, and he reigned upon earth. Therefore it became current in those days, when a man ushered forth those that he had trained up for battle, he would say to them, like the Most High did to Nimrod, who was a mighty hunter in the earth, and who succeeded in the battles that prevailed against his brethren, that he delivered them from the hands of their enemies. So may the Most High strengthen us and deliver us this day.
So what happened to Nimrod, right? What happened to him? Let's skip down to verse 42. And we're going to read verses 42 to 48. Now you have to understand that Hindus, Jews, Mormons, pagans, and other cults celebrate December 25th, but they despise Yeshua. Other religions do this, but they despise him. Right, let's read.
Joshua chapter 7, verse 42. And whilst he was reigning according to his heart's desire, after having conquered all his enemies around, he advised with his counselors to build a city for his palace, and they did so. And they found a large valley opposite to the east, and they built him a large and extensive city. And Nimrod called the name of the city that he built Shinar, for the Lord had vehemently shaken his enemies and destroyed them. And Nimrod dwelt in Shinar, and he reigned securely, and he fought with his enemies, and he subdued them. And he prospered in all his battles, and his kingdom became very great. And all nations and tongues heard of his fame, and they gathered themselves to him. And they bowed down to the earth, and they brought him offerings, and he became their Lord and King. And they all dwelt with him in the city of Shinar. And Nimrod reigned in the earth over all the sons of Noah, and they were all under his power and counsel. Verse 46. And all the earth was of one tongue and words of union. But Nimrod did not go in the ways of the Lord, and he was more wicked than all the men that were before him, from the days of the flood until those days. And he made gods of wood and stone, and he bowed down to them, and he rebelled against the Lord, and taught all his subjects and the people of the earth his wicked ways. And Mardon his son was more wicked than his father.
Mardon his son, more wicked than his father, right? Let's read.
And everyone that heard of the acts of Mardon, the son of Nimrod, would say concerning him, from the wicked goeth forth wickedness. Therefore it became a proverb in the whole earth, saying, from the wicked goeth forth wickedness, and it was current in the words of men from that time to this.
All right, so Mardon was Nimrod's son, biological, real son. Tammuz was not Nimrod's son. Tammuz was from some adulterous affair, whatever affair some areas had. So Nimrod built the Tower of Babel. He did all that, right? So, how did it happen that the tree came about? She claimed that a full-grown evergreen tree sprang overnight from a dead tree stump, which symbolized the springing forth of new life from the dead Nimrod. And every anniversary of the birth, she claimed Nimrod would visit that tree and leave gifts under it. December 25th, the birthday of Tammuz. This is the real origin of the Christmas tree, though her scheming and design, Semiramis became the Babylonian queen of heaven. Heard that one before too, didn't you? And Tammuz, under various names, become the divine son of heaven. This is a quote from the Roman Saturnalia, even earlier in Egypt. This is a book, this is a book called the Christmas Folklore. And this is on page 209. Most people have heard that the Christmas tree originates in the Tannenbaum and is some sort of vestige of Teutonic vegetation worship. This is partially true. However, the custom of using pine and other evergreens, ceremonial as well, established at the Roman Saturnalia even earlier than Egypt. And we know that Babylon was earlier than Egypt. One moment. Mithra, the sun god of the Persians. Mithra wears a hat that looks very similar to what Santa Claus wore. Mithra name is spelled Mitra. That's the sun god of the Persians. And if you Google Mithra, sun god of the Persians, take a look at the hat that he's wearing. Let's go Revelation 12 and 9. So truly the whole world has been deceived by Satan and his clever masquerade. Revelation 12:9, let's read that.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
His angels were cast out with him. All right, let's go over to Ezekiel, the 20th chapter. And we're going to read verses 30 to 39. Let's get more warning. Ezekiel 20, 30 to 39. All right, let's read.
Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 30. Wherefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus saith the Lord power, Are ye polluted after the manner of your fathers?
Are ye polluted after the manner of your fathers? Go ahead.
And commit ye whoredom after their abominations. For when ye offer your gifts, when ye make your sons to pass through the fire,
Listen to this, come on.
ye pollute yourselves with all your idols, even unto this day, and shall I be inquired of by you, O house of Israel? As I live, saith the Lord power, I will not be inquired of by you.
See that? You offer gifts. You make your sons pass through the fire. You pollute yourselves with your idols. Come on now. Verse 132.
And that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all. That ye say, we will be as the heathen, as the families of the countries, to serve wood and stone. As I live, saith the Lord, power, surely with a mighty hand, and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out, will I rule over you. And I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries, wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand, and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out. Verse 35. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face.
Now we know that that plead, when we translated in the Strong's Concordance, it was killed. Come on.
Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith the Lord. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. Verse 38. And I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am the Lord.
So that's how you know that certain Israelites are going to be on that path to the wilderness, and they're not going to be able to get in. Then shall ye know that I am the Lord. That's a little too late. Next verse.
As for you, O house of Israel, thus saith the Lord, Go ye, serve ye every one his idols, and hereafter also, if ye will not hearken unto me, but pollute ye my holy name no more with your gifts and with your idols.
He said, don't put my name in December 25th. But after the death of Samarius, after her death, Samarius was worshipped as the queen of heaven, and Tammuz under different names, and Nimrod worshipped as the sun god. That is, we did a teaching on the ungodly trinity, right? And we showed Samarius as a fake, disgusting, a fake Holy Spirit, as Nimrod being called a fake Ahia, and Tammuz being called a fake Yeshua. That's what it is. Some characteristics of a sun god in some areas of the calendar originally began in constellation of Virgo, and the sun would therefore be born of a virgin. The sun is the light of the world. Have you heard Christian songs and they're singing about the light of the world? Wonder who they're talking about. The sun cometh on clouds, and every eye shall see him.
Or,
The sun rising in the morning is the Savior of mankind. Is there Christian songs that talk about sun rising in the morning? Who are they talking about? The sun wears a corona, a crown of thorns, or a halo. What other sun god wears thorns, a crown of thorns, or a halo around the head? The sun. And I'm saying S-U-N, not S-O-N. The sun walks on water. When you watch a sunrise in the morning, doesn't it look like the sun and it's walking on water? The sun followers, helpers, disciples, 12 months, 12 zodiac signs, right? Through which the sun, S-U-N, must pass through. The sun at noon is in the horse or temple of the Most High. So the sun is its strong point at 12 noon. In olden times, a son, S-O-N, would begin work at the age of 12 doing his father's work. The sun enters into each zodiac sign on a 30-degree angle. So the Son of God ministry, when did that start? 30. See the coincidences here?
People are evil.
We needed the two Babylons. The sun is hung on a cross or crucified, which represents its passing through the equinoxes, beginning at Easter, which is the so-called resurrection time. Okay?
So, when they were saying light of this world,
Who are they singing? I mean, these are Christians. That's why.
step out of, wait, how does it go?
Light of the world, step out
Walk
of.
in the light, the beautiful light.
No, not that song. And it said light of the world. Step out.
You step down into darkness,
Yeah.
open my eyes, let me see.
Oh my
That's like a
goodness.
chant.
It is, because what did the devil do in the Garden of Eden with Eve?
Open their eyes, didn't they?
And she saw the evilness. Oh,
Two
Lord,
Babylons,
forgive me.
page 66.
Who they saying, you're my God,
Oh,
King of all days?
That's why I
forgive
do
me,
not
Father.
listen to any more Christian
Christians.
music.
Oh,
Because
my
they have
goodness.
satanic overtones in it. Right? Alright, so we're gonna be out of the book. In fact, who's the author of that book? I always forget. The Two Babylons.
Alexander Hislop.
If you're an Israelite, you need the Two Babylons. Right? We're gonna read page 66. And it should be highlighted. Yeah, the Exodus. Alright, read that.
The Two Babylons, page 66. Even where the sun was the favorite object of worship, as in Babylon itself and elsewhere, at this festival he was worshipped not merely as the orb of day, but as God incarnate. It was an essential principle of the Babylonian system that the sun or Baal was the one only God. When therefore Tammuz was worshipped as God incarnate, which implied also that he was an incarnation of the sun. In the Hindu mythology, which is admitted to be essentially Babylonian, this comes out very distinctly.
Mhm.
There, Surya, or the sun, is represented as being incarnate and born for the purpose of subduing the enemies of the gods, who without such a birth could not have been subdued.
Mhm. See that? Okay, that's good enough. Let's go to Revelation 2:6 and then Revelation 2:15. Let's expose another one of something else about that Satan really doesn't want exposed. Let's go Revelation 2:6 and then read Revelation 2:15.
Revelation chapter 2, verse 6. But this thou hast, that thou hatest the deeds of the Nicolaitans,
Who are the Nicolaitans? Keep going.
which I also hate.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
So hast thou also them that hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which thing I hate.
Now, Nicolaitan means a follower of Nicholas. And it comes from two Greek words, Nikos, Laos, which means conqueror or destroyer. And Laos means people. No, I'm sorry, Nikos means conqueror, destroyer. Laos means people. The original Nicholas was a conqueror and destroyer of the people. So who would that be? Let's go to Genesis 10. Genesis 10, verses 8 through 10. And let's see who this would be. Genesis 10, 8 through 10. Right? Let's see who's the original conqueror of the people. Let's read that.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
And Cush begat Nimrod.
Who was it?
And Cush begat Nimrod.
Nimrod. Go ahead.
He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar.
Right. So while he was alive, Nimrod put himself in the place of power. Or as the biblical text puts, he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. When he died, his admirers continued to worship him as a divine God. They called him Baal. And the name throughout the Old Testament, Baal means master or Lord. That's what Baal means. So Nimrod had other names. More commonly known through Asia Minor was Santa.
So even
And Santa Claus, but remember it was Saint Nicholas before it became Santa Nicholas, then it was shortened to Santa Claus. That's Nimrod. Yes, ma'am.
So, when Jezebel was, Jezebel prophets said they was worshiping Baal, they was worshiping
Nimrod.
Nimrod.
Mm-hmm. Nimrod, right? So Santa Claus is a short name for Santa Nicholas or Saint Nicholas, but a lot of people don't even know that. Right? They don't even know that. They don't know that those customs are associated with December 25th. A lot of Christmas originally was the Saturnalia, or the birth of Tammuz. And these customs were handed down from ancient paganism to ancient paganism, and they were changed. Remember, Rome changed a lot of stuff to make it appear innocent and good. Let's get Acts 6 and 5.
So when the
Because some people say that the Nicolaitans was from this guy in Acts 6:5, which is incorrect. Yes, ma'am.
So, the women in Ezekiel was making cakes, are we going there?
This is Jeremiah.
Yeah, Jeremiah too, is to come maybe?
Yeah.
Are we going there or no?
Probably.
Okay.
Let's read Acts 6:5, because a lot of people will say, well, a lot of people who are learned will say, well, what it was is that this deacon Nicholas turned bad, and Jesus did not like him. Nowhere in Scripture does it say that. Read Acts 6:5.
Acts chapter 6, verse 5. And the saying pleased the whole multitude. And they chose Stephen, a man full of faith and of the Holy Spirit, and Philip, and Prochorus, and Nicanor, and Timon, and Parmenas, and Nicholas, a proselyte of Antioch.
Right. So that's the scripture that they base off of, and then they say that this Nicholas, he turned bad. So Jesus decided that he hated him. Really now? Really now? There's no scriptural evidence, and in fact, those men who were called deacons, one of them got killed. These men were doing the things that were right. See, they once again take it off the beaten path. We don't want you to know that Yeshua hated Santa Claus. We don't want you to know that. So we're going to throw a scripture somewhere and then tell you a story.
But everything about this Santa Claus is all lies. There's no big fat white man coming. You don't even have a chimney. And if he's fat, how's he getting down his chimney?
Right. So,
Like, it's all lies.
correct. William Walsh, I'm sure, yes, that's his name. William Walsh wrote a book, The Story of Santa Claus. And this is what he quoted in his book on page number 70. Santa Claus is a diminutive form of Saint Nicholas. Saint Nicholas is a name associated with the ancient god Saturn. In face and figure, the Saint Nicholas of the early painters was not unlike the ancient idea of Saturn. Okay. Whether or not there was ever a specific sect that called themselves the Nicolaitans, as used in Revelations, the Nicolaitans was a symbolic term for the hater of the Most High's law, who by their teachings would lead members of the Most High's church to commit spiritual adultery and fornication. Now, how can you commit spiritual adultery and fornication? December 25th. December 25th. So that is the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which Yeshua hates. Goes back to Nimrod. What about the Christmas spirit? Right? Everybody waits for the blessed holiday of December 25th. Much of the world looks forward to this event like any other. It's a time families and friends get together, traveling from all over the world. Women are loosening purse strings. Everybody seems so generous. Right? Employers relax, on the job. They say, hey, you know what? Relax yourself. It's this time of year. We don't have to work hard. Individuals and businesses give to charities. People give to the poor. Like that woman that y'all saw in the store with thousands of dollars worth of merchandise for the children, right? Christmas is one of the few days of the year that many go to church. A lot of heathens, they go to church on December 25th. Right? They go to church on December 25th. And we even had a pastor say, that I wouldn't be seeing y'all if it wasn't for December 25th. But it's not, but the Most High did not ordain it. A false god to the world, a sacred celebration to the pagans. December 25th appears to be wonderful, but it is evil and it is destructive. It is evil and it is destructive. Let's go on 1 John 5. How is it that unbelievers love December 25th? Atheists celebrate December 25th. Hindus, December 25th. Everybody celebrates December 25th. That's how you know it's wicked. Because everybody is celebrating. 1 John 5 and 19. Okay? And then let's get Luke 16:15. All right, let's read.
1 John chapter 5, verse 19. And we know that we are of the Most High, and the whole world lieth in wickedness.
See that? You know that you're of the Most High because everybody else is doing the opposite of what you're doing. You're not thinking about celebrating on December 25th. Unfortunately, jobs they won't even open up their doors. So you just relax on that day. The jobs won't even open up their doors on that day. It's like they're forcing you to celebrate it. Let's read Luke 16:15.
Luke chapter 16, verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto them, Ye are they which justify yourselves before men,
Mm-hmm.
but the Most High knoweth your hearts, for that which is highly esteemed among men is abomination in the sight of the Most High.
See that? That which is esteemed. Christmas is esteemed highly among men, but it's an abomination to the Most High. So Santa Claus is a pagan mockery of the Most High. Father, white hair, grandfather image, right? Eternal, lives up north, has unlimited resources. He's omniscient of every child's behavior, right? Omnipresent at night. He hears the confessions. He comes as a thief in the night, busts children, and distributes judgment for works. Who do you think that mocks? It's mocking the Most High and higher.
Yeah, because if you're naughty, you get coal in your stockings,
Right.
ashes in your eyes.
Right. That's mocking the Father.
If you get nice, you get gifts.
It's mocking the Father. This celebration was not something originally pure, good, and holy, which the world messed up and paganized. It was paganized and it was heathen from the very beginning. It was evil and superstitious from the very beginning. It wasn't nothing that was tarnished by men. It was already tarnished. And men just decided to make it look pretty. The word Christmas comes from the Roman Catholic Church, Mass of Christ, or Christ Mass. The central idea theme of the Mass is expressed in the rite of the priest taking the bread and wine and changing it to the body and blood of the Messiah, and the so-called miracle known as transubstantiation, which is speaking magic, 5 magic words. That's what Christmas comes from. Christ Mass, or death of Christ. Commandment number 3, you shall not take my name in vain. So that's why I'm saying it. Okay? The Lord condemns the spirit of Christmas because he calls it another spirit he hates. Where is that in the Bible? 2 Corinthians 11, 1 through 4. The Lord condemns a mother and a child wearing halos. Another Yeshaya. The Lord condemns the tradition glorifying the sun worship as another gospel. So where can we find a scripture that has another spirit, another Yeshaya, and another gospel? It's 2 Corinthians 11, 1 through 4.
2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Would to the Most High you could bear with me a little in my folly, and indeed bear with me. For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
For I have espoused you to one husband,
Mm-hmm.
that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
But I fear, lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety,
Mm-hmm.
so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Hamashiach.
Mm-hmm.
For if he that cometh preacheth another Yeshua,
Another Yeshaya.
whom we have not preached,
Mm-hmm.
or if ye receive another spirit,
Another spirit.
which ye have not received,
Mm-hmm.
or another gospel,
Another gospel.
which ye have not accepted, ye might well bear with him.
Right. You might bear with them, right? So the Bible is very clear on this. December 25th is another spirit, a total another Yeshaya, and it's a total another teaching. Has nothing to do with the Bible. Nothing to do with the Bible. Celebration of his physical birth was never meant to be. Concerning birthdays, the Bible only relates, notice in the Bible when it talks about birthdays, everything is death. Herod, celebrating a birthday, right? Cost the life of John the Baptist. In Genesis, it was the king's birthday, and one of the servants were beheaded. The 2 witnesses in Revelation, what happened on the birthday? Killed. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 12 and 7.
What happened to that whole family in the Maccabees?
Killed.
The whole family for the king's birthday.
Ecclesiastes 12, 7, and Ecclesiastes 7 and 1. Ecclesiastes 12, 7, Ecclesiastes 7 and 1.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto the Most High who gave it.
Right, so it's talking about the death, not the birth. But let's get even more. 7 and 1.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 1. A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth.
The day of death better than the day of one's birth. So why wasn't the Lord's physical birthday ever known or recorded? The Most High hid it as he did the body of Moses because it is not important. It's not important. The celebration of his physical birth was not meant to be. Never was it meant to be. But what about all the paraphernalia, right? The holly, the wreath, the mistletoe, the Yule log, the tree, all pagan. The mistletoe, for example, represents fertility. Why do people kiss under it, right? The origins are easily determined with research and spiritual judgment. All you gotta do is a little research, find out the origins. St. Nicholas, traditions about origin theories vary, but consider, are saint elves, are they obese? Are they endowed magical powers? You may say that you may not really believe in Santa. You may think that such fantasy is innocent or it's harmless. And a lot of people believe that it's innocent and it's harmless. There's nothing wrong with it. Letting children believe that a man is, floating down chimneys. And I always wondered, and I asked my mama this, and she kind of slapped me in the face. And I said, well, how does Santa Claus get down chimneys when we live in the projects and there ain't no chimneys in the projects?
Did you have a garbage chute?
Oh yeah, we had a garbage chute.
With fire at the end.
Fire was at the bottom of that garbage chute. Right? But I asked my mother that question. We live on the 7th floor in the projects. How can Santa Claus come down our chimney? How can he come in here? And of course, I got to keep in the face for it.
So you remember, maybe last week, we saw a video of this famous pastor that made a song, and he was talking about having sex with his wife under a mistletoe and getting between her privates and all that. So what was he doing? That was he gonna do that to his wife in honor of Nimrod?
Right.
You gotta be careful who's preaching, what you listening to.
That's right.
And
So-
he was like, oh, it's nothing wrong. That was a song he made to his wife, just showing his love.
By getting in between her legs.
Have cookies and milk. Some of you
Right.
said, I don't know. But he said in the mistletoe, under the mistletoe.
We're going to get Matthew 12 and 30. Now, you probably heard me talk about this minister before, Charles Spurgeon, one of the most popular Baptist preachers there was. He preached against December 25th as late as 1871. His sermons were against December 25th. Matthew 12 and 30. Let's read that.
Matthew chapter 12, verse 30. He that is not with me is against me, and he that gathereth not with me scattereth abroad.
Now, take into consideration that the Christmas is sincerely identical to Jeroboam's 2 calves in 1 Kings 12. Aaron led Israel to worship the Lord with the golden calf in Exodus, the 32nd chapter. These calves are tied into Babylonian worship. Babylonian worship. Traditions of Christianity, Saturnalia, Christmas, New Year's, to honor the two-faced God, and we're going to do a teaching on New Year's in, I believe, next week. Halloween, demons, Valentine's Day, fake Roman celebration of fertility, the goddess Ishtar, which is pronounced Easter, Lent, 40 days weeping for Tammuz, all of these pagan traditions of Christianity, right? All of them are.
Do we ever ask ourselves, why is everything around fertility?
Mm-hmm.
But we know Satan is behind all this, right?
Correct.
So we know that Satan can't create life,
Right.
but he can manipulate and cause people to worship him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how he's getting his children,
Correct.
causing these orgies and different things, and people get pregnant from that. People
Mm-hmm.
causing their children to pass through the fire, and so that's how he's getting his children, getting his people,
Correct.
who he don't care nothing about, but
Right.
himself, and in the end, he's gonna turn on all of them,
Right.
because it's all about self.
Because it's all about self.
So
Let's- Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying people don't realize that.
No, they don't. So it's too late.
A lot of the people, they were saying that people that's in these different occults and stuff, Illuminati and all that, they worship Satan because they say he's the real God, because he gives them knowledge of good and evil. They don't recognize a higher because a higher only gave us the tree of life, and he told us not to touch the
Mm-hmm.
other tree. So that's what they believe.
Right.
But oh yeah.
Let's read Romans 14:23. Romans 14:23. Let's read that.
Romans chapter 14, verse 23.
Mm-hmm.
And he that doubteth is damned if he eat,
Mm-hmm.
because he eateth not of faith. For whatsoever is not of faith is sin.
Right. Whatsoever is faith is sin. Whatsoever is not of faith is sin. So what does the Most High say about December 25th? Well, let's look at that one. Let's get some scriptures about that. We're going to go Deuteronomy 12, 30 and 32. And then we're going to go 1 Corinthians 10, 20 to 22. Deuteronomy 12, 30 to 32. 1 Corinthians 10, 20 to 22. I'm surprised I don't have them. Scripture in Jeremiah about the queen of heaven. All right, let's read.
Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 30. Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them, after that they be destroyed from before thee. And that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how do these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. Thou shalt not do so unto the Lord thy power.
That's right.
For every abomination to the Lord, which he hated, have they done unto their gods. For even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their gods. What things soever I command you, observe to do it. Thou shalt not add thereto, nor diminish from it.
Right. He's talking about you shall not do that. You shall not pass your children through the fire. Even if your child is sitting up there saying, I want this, I want that. You are to raise your child up in knowing that they're not supposed to be honoring these holidays. Let's read 1 Corinthians.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils.
They sacrifice to devils.
Yeah.
Come on.
and not to the Most High.
And when he talks about Gentiles, that means anyone who is not serving the Most High is a Gentile. And it doesn't matter whether you're full-blooded Judah, full-blooded Levi, full-blooded Simeon. If you are not serving the Most High, you are a Gentile. Read.
And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils.
Mm-hmm.
Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the table of devils.
Mm-hmm.
Do we provoke the Lord to jealousy?
Do you?
Are we stronger than he?
Are you? Turn. Next session. Let's talk about mistletoe, wreaths, Yule logs, and other abominations. The Christmas tree we already talked about is a sacred tree of the winter god. Druids believe that spirits and their gods would reside in the tree. Most ancient pagans knew that the tree represented Nimrod reincarnated into Tammuz. Right? What about the five-pointed star? The five-pointed star of the Pentelpha is a symbol of Satan because it is second only to the hexagram. Okay? And the star is a symbol of Nimrod. Candles represent the sun god, newly born fire. Pagans around the world love to use candles in their rituals and ceremonies. Certain colors were thought to bring specific powers to the person who lived. Okay? Mistletoe, sacred plant. Now, mistletoe is an actual plant. It is. And the mistletoe does have healing, it does have healing properties in it. But they use it for evil. The mistletoe was the first, because it's supposed to do something to the fertility system. If you eat it. Right? But mistletoe has healing powers in it. But the witches and warlocks use the berries and everything in potions as a step in the reproductive cycle. And we all know that the white berries represent female eggs. No, the white berries represent Satan's sperm. The red berries represent the female eggs. That's why you got red and white dots, or red and white berries, or whatever they call it, all over the wreath, because the wreath represents the woman's vagina. And the Christmas tree represents Satan's penis. So there. Happy, disgusting, whatever you want to call it. Right? But the wreath is a circular, that's a woman's private part. So you see these wreaths on doors.
There's one right across the hall from us.
Woman private part.
Let's take it over. Let's take the camera line and show it.
Reindeer, right? Those animals represent horn gods or stag gods, right? And pagan, Satan's traditional number with reindeer is 8. And 8 is the number of reindeers that pull Satan Claus sleigh. 2 of those reindeer, by the way, are named after pagan gods. Cupid, right, the god of love or whatever, and Donner, the god of thunder. Satan's little helpers, elves, were imp-like creatures, but elves are also known as D-E-M-O-N-S, demons. Right? What about the colors of Christmas? Red and green, traditional colors. Right? The green represents money, plenty of money. The red represents blood. So that's why green and red are symbolized with December 25th. We're going to learn a little more about red next tomorrow. December 25th, or the nativity scene, which we already know the nativity scene is wrong. We already know that. Okay? The nativity scene is totally wrong. December 25th, we've already talked about it was being Saturnalia. So let's talk about, and lastly, Satan's big deception. First of all, let's get Psalms, before we go there, let's go to Psalms 119, 128. Yeshua requires us to esteem all of these precepts, but to hate all other ideas. So let's get that in Psalms 119, verse 128. Psalm 119, verse 128. And let's read that.
Psalm 119, verse 128. Therefore I esteem all thy precepts concerning all things to be right, and I hate every false way.
See that? I hate every false way. So everything else I hate. We're going to go to 2 Corinthians 11. So, December 25th, and its season, time of the year that has been sanctified by the Most High or by the devil. 2 Corinthians 11, and we're going to read verses 13 through 15. And just in case you want to know, where does the Most High condemn sun worship? Write down and look at this in your own time. Deuteronomy 4:19. Deuteronomy 17:3. 2 Kings 23:5. Job 31, verses 26 to 28. And we read one scripture already, Ezekiel 8:16. So, where he condemns sun worship, Deuteronomy 4:19, Deuteronomy 17:3, 2 Kings 23:5, Job 31, 26 to 28, Ezekiel 8:16. One of Satan's false Yeshua is that he and his ministers have created the Yeshua that they raise up, exalt through their borrowing the sun worship customs of idolatry past, and use them as commemorate the Christmas idea. Genesis 3:3. The truth about religious exercise is that Yeshua, for the present time, is permitting the great deceiver Satan to deceive people and to go their own way, to worship a false Yeshua of their own, choosing Satan, and continue to experience curses and sins and wages of the eating from the forbidden tree. Let's read Genesis 3:3 and then Malachi 3:2.
Yeah, but we're going to read 2 Corinthians.
Yeah. You gotta go read.
2 Corinthians 11. Okay, read 2 Corinthians 11.
2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 13. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Hamashiach. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works.
End shall be according to their works. Right? All right, Genesis 3:3.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 3.
Mhm.
But the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Lest ye die.
Um,
All right, Malachi 3 and 2. Let's read. You got it?
Okay.
Let's read it.
Malachi chapter 3, verse 2. Lord, whom ye seek, shall suddenly come. So like it's cut off in my Bible.
Okay. But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire and like fuller's soap. December 25th does not have in any way represent Yeshua of the Bible. Yeshua has not commanded a day or a season to commemorate or to talk about his birth. Yeshua of the Bible does not represent lying to children, parents being disloyal, unfaithful, deceiving their own teaching by teaching them that to worship a fictitious Santa Claus idol. That's not what he does. So many of us cry, but oh, it's so innocent. But a lot of us don't even know how satanic Harry Potter is, which represents wizardry and witchcraft, sins that his word condemns. Right? Let's go 2 Chronicles 33 and 6. 2 Chronicles 33 and 6. Second Chronicles 33 and 6. Because this is what you do when you decide that, my child, yeah, Santa Claus, he's going to get you if you continue to be bad. He's not going to bring you nothing. Right? Read that.
2 Chronicles chapter 33, verse 6. And he caused his children to pass through the fire in the valley of the son of Hinnom. Also he observed time, and used enchantments, and used witchcraft, and dealt with the familiar spirit, and with wizards. He wrought much evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger.
Yeshua did appoint a day that you are to remember. You are to keep in memory his death, the Passover. A day that today's Christians don't keep, they don't remember, they don't even know what it means. But they continually keep December 25th.
and what commandment is that? Thou shalt not lie.
Right, let's go Isaiah 1 and 23.
Man, they sold this one, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
This one and the tooth fairy. They sold that one.
Isaiah 1 and 23.
Isaiah chapter 1, verse 23.
Mm-hmm.
Thy princes are rebellious, and companions of thieves. Everyone loveth gifts, and followeth after reward.
Mm-hmm.
They judge not the fatherless, neither doth the cause of the widow come unto them.
That's right, December 25th, along with Easter and Halloween, all days of Satan are observed by the disguise of today's false, fake Christianity, and do not represent Yeshua, his life, his death, his word. Doesn't resemble anything of Yeshua. And in fact, he condemns doing anything under green trees in his worship. Did we read Deuteronomy 12 yet? 1 through 4?
Yeah. We read Deuteronomy 12, 30 to 32.
All right, let's read Deuteronomy 12, 1 through 4. Deuteronomy 12, 1 through 4. And let's read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 1. These are the statutes and judgments which ye shall observe to do in the land, which the Lord power of thy fathers giveth thee to possess it, all the days that ye live upon the earth. Ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods, upon the high mountains and upon the hills, and under every green tree. Verse 3. And ye shall overthrow their altars, and break their pillars, and burn their groves with fire. And ye shall hew down the graven images of their gods, and destroy the names of them out of that place. Ye shall not do so unto the Lord your power.
You shall not do so unto the Lord your power. Right? Let's go Isaiah 3:12. Isaiah 3 and 12.
Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy path.
All right. So will the observing of December 25th and its sins of idolatry, lying, deceiving children, putting the name of Yeshua to idolatry, will that keep a person out of the Most High's kingdom? Let's go Isaiah, Amos 5, 21 to 23. Amos 5, 21 and 23. And then hold that and get Isaiah 1, 13, 16.
Amos chapter 5, verse 21. I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. Though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them. Neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beasts. Take thou away from me the noise of thy songs, for I will not hear the melody of thy viols.
Right. Okay, and then let's go to Isaiah 1, 13 through 16. Now, as far as prior to 1836, December 25th was illegal in the United States. You were forbidden to exchange gifts. You were forbidden to decorate your house. You were forbidden to wear any type of December 25th clothing. You were forbidden to do any of that because that was considered satanic practices up until 1836. Yeah. That was the old style. Right? Let's read it.
Isaiah chapter 1, verse 13. Bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. The new moons and Sabbaths, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. It is iniquity, even the solemn meeting. Your new moons and your appointed feasts, my soul hated.
Wow.
they are a trouble unto me.
Mhm.
I am weary to bear them.
Mhm.
And when ye spread forth your hands, I will hide mine eyes from you.
Mhm.
Yea, when ye make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood.
Mhm.
Wash you, make you clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease to do evil.
Cease to do evil. What about the women? Let's go to Jeremiah 44. And we're going to read verses 7 through 11. No, 7 through 11. And then 7 through 11. And then we're going to go 15 to 21. So Marius isn't innocent of this either. Let's read it.
Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 7. Therefore now thus saith the Lord, the power of hosts, the power of Israel, wherefore commit ye this great evil against your souls,
Mm-hmm.
to cut off from you man and woman, child and suckling, out of Judah, to leave you none to remain. In that ye provoke me unto wrath with the works of your hands,
Mm-hmm.
burning incense unto other gods in the land of Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
whither ye be gone to dwell, that ye might cut yourselves off, and that ye might be a curse and a reproach among all the nations of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Have ye forgotten the wickedness of your fathers, and the wickedness of the kings of Judah, and the wickedness of their wives, and your own wickedness, and the wickedness of your wives, which they have committed in the land of Judah,
Mm-hmm.
and in the streets of Jerusalem?
You won't get this in your Christian church, verse 10.
They are not humbled, even unto this day. Neither have they feared, nor walked in my law, nor in my statutes, that I set before you and before your fathers.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 11. Therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, behold, I will set my face against you for evil, and to cut off all Judah.
Mm-hmm. Let's skip over to verse 15 and read that through 21.
Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
Then all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense unto other gods,
Mm-hmm.
and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt, in Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Lord, we will not hearken unto thee. But we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth,
Mm-hmm.
to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven,
Mm-hmm.
and to pour out drink offerings unto her,
Mm-hmm.
as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings and our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of victuals, and were well, and saw no evil.
And saw no evil. Come on.
But since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of heaven,
But Samarius.
and to pour out drink offerings unto her,
Mm-hmm.
we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine.
Mm-hmm.
And when we burned incense to the Queen of heaven, and poured out drink offerings unto her,
Mm-hmm.
did we make her cakes to worship her,
Mm-hmm.
and pour out drink offerings unto her, without our men? Verse 20, Then Jeremiah said unto all the people, to the men and to the women, and to all the people which had given him that answer, saying, The incense that ye burned in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, ye and your fathers, your kings and your princes, and did not the Lord remember them, and came it not into his mind.
Right. See that? So let's go over let's hold that thought of the Queen of Heaven, and let's see what else they were doing over in Ezekiel, the 8th chapter, verses 13 and 14. This is why Father hates this so-called holiday. Read that in Ezekiel 8, And it's verses 13 and 14.
Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 13. He said also unto me, turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do. Verse 14. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north. And behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz.
There you go. Weeping for Tammuz. Right? It is not only wrong to practice these lying traditions, it's also a sin to make these traditions of pagans and apply them to worship of the Most High. That's also sin. Deuteronomy 12, 29, and 30. I think we read Deuteronomy 29 and 30, right?
That's 30 or 32.
No, we're not doing anything. We already read it. All right, let's go. Matthew 10, 36 to 40. That'll be our last scripture. So there's really nothing merry about December 25th. So we shall say, we shall wish you a merry what? The Most High forbid. Let us stop calling it Christmas, because that name defiles the name of Yeshua. Let's call it what it really is, the festival of Nimrod. If you want to celebrate it the correct way. Say Happy Nimrod's Day. Because that's what it is. Let's read Matthew 10, 36 to 40. This will be our last scripture, and we'll open up for questions.
Matthew chapter 10, verse 36. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. Verse 40, he that receiveth you receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent.
Let us be set in the truth and be set free in the name of Yeshua. Not to celebrate this wicked pagan holiday that has so many people in delusion. So many people are going to go to hell just for what they do on December 25th alone. Because we just read that you break 5 commandments. And in the book of James it says, if you break one, break them all. Okay? Tomorrow's lesson. Tomorrow's lesson.
Yeah. Get up and fix it.
It's frozen. Right. Well, how is it one person's frozen and everybody else is not? All right. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Tomorrow's lesson. Who is Edom Esau? This lesson is going to be pretty long. I'm just putting it out there right now. It's going to be pretty long. We have a lot of information to cover. A lot of information. And we're going to be discussing Edom, Esau. We're going to be discussing the Khazars. How are they connected? How are they not connected? We're going to talk about a couple of the 13 families, who they really came from. We have a lot of information to cover it, and I'm not gonna wanna break this down into 2 teachings. We're gonna do it all tomorrow. So, that's gonna be our teaching for tomorrow, who is Edom, Esau. And we're gonna start up with our Hebrew Israelite awakening, and we'll go from there. So, with that being said, I guess the screen is frozen, so nobody can put anything on the chat, right?
No, you can still put stuff on the chat.
There's
They just
no
can't see.
question.
No questions?
Yeah. Questions, Elder. Nimrod and his mother, Queen Samaris, they had a son, right? And what's his name? Tammuz. Wasn't he born on December 25th?
Yes, Tammuz was born on December 25th, but Tammuz was not Nimrod's son.
No.
His son was Mardus, or Magnus, or something. That's what his son's name was. Tammuz wasn't conceived until after his death. And that's why Samarius made up this whole story about Nimrod he was this stump, but then he became this evergreen tree. And the rays of the sun impregnated her with Tammuz, who was to be the next ruler. She did that because when they found out that Nimrod was dead, they were going to kill her and kill everything around her. So she had created that story so she can stay alive and keep the queenship. Is that it?
Yes.
All right. All right, so join us for live stream tomorrow at 1 p.m. with our praise and worship. We want to say shalom to you all. Give all praises to the Most High, Ahaya, Ahaya, Yeshaya, and Wawawa, the Holy Spirit.
If you have enjoyed this lesson and have found it educational, please like and subscribe to the channel to get future teachings. Also hit the bell at the top of the screen so that you will be updated and alerted when a new teaching comes on.
Or when we go live stream. All right, so Kwam Yasharallah, and we will see you all later with our teaching on Edom, Esau.
Kwame
Kwame
Sharala.
Sharala.